Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host this evening, Logan Landers. And joining me to talk about the NFC South's own Carolina Panthers, their 2021 team preview, is the co-host of the Unscripted Sports Podcast alongside myself, his lovely wife, Melanie, and our guys, Frankie C, Big Shot Rob. Hey, we got a lot of good stuff there. Check us out as well. It's my guy, Jay McLovin. What's going on, Jay?
What's up, everybody? It's good to be here and talk about some very interesting and young Carolina Panthers.
Of course, yes. These Panthers are definitely young, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But before we start things off, if you guys enjoy this video here tonight, please be sure to smash that like button, comment, and share, whether you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, or live on Twitch. We do live videos every time we come on the air. So if we mess up, you guys are there with us. We don't really edit too much, but hey, we're here for you, and we always love to bring some good fan interaction. And also go check out our podcast as well, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, iHeartRadio, anything with a podcast, there's a 99% chance that we are over there. We upload daily episodes. You can listen to us on the way to work, whether you're at the gym, whether you're cooking some dinner like I'm going to do after the show, or just anything you're doing. Just be sure to listen to our podcast. We have like quick 15-minute episodes, or they can range all the way to 45, maybe even an hour, just depending on what we're talking about, who we're talking with. We've had great interviews, guys who have been in the NFL, Hall of Famers, guys who've won Super Bowl rings, or guys who've been drafted in the NFL draft. So, hey, Jay, let's get into this one, man. The Panthers, the Carolina Panthers. This is a very interesting team, and I think they have a very good upside. What's your thoughts on this team?
Yeah, the biggest upside or the biggest interesting thing for me is Darnold. I really want to see what Darnold can actually do on a team that has, a better offensive line than where he came from, a better developmental coaching staff than what he came from, and ultimately better offensive weapons than what he came from. So Darnold, that's my biggest one. That and obviously this young defense, which, obviously is going to be like, it is what it is. It's young and naive, but, they're adding good pieces. They just drafted J.C. Horn. So there's a lot of good things here to be excited about. They got a good, like we said, we'll talk about it in a minute, but a good wide receiver duo. They got good running backs. Everything they need is to be better than 5-11, which is what they were last year, is 5-11. They have a better chance this year than they certainly did last year. And I am excited to see where this Carolina team goes and what they do from here.
Yeah, this team definitely has a very bright future, I think. They're one of the youngest teams in the league on offense and on defense, so they've got a lot of upside to them in the next upcoming years. I think this is just the start of it, honestly. But they've got, they cut a lot of people this year. They cut a lot of players. They got some dead money they got to get rid of, some cap space they got to get rid of, they got to get freed up. But overall, I like the way this team is shaping up to be. They've got a lot of potential. And Jay, I got to bring it up. You are a Cowboys fan, my friend. J.C. Horn, you just missed him. The Cowboys picked 10th in the draft, and the Panthers picked 8. And I know you had your eyes all set on Mr. Horn.
Yeah, I really thought he was gonna fall down to us. I really was. I was heartbroken. I figured either one or two things was gonna happen. Either Patrick Surtain, which obviously went to Denver Broncos, either Patrick Surtain or J.C. Horn was gonna fall to the Cowboys. I said we got 1 or 2 chance at getting a fairly good cornerback, and of course, it just didn't go that way. But what surprises me, Logan, more than anything, is that Carolina is so sold. They are so, I guess, confident in what Darnold brings to the table that they actually passed on Justin Fields and Mac Jones.
Yeah.
So that tells you the fact that they passed up on, what could be 2 really good quarterbacks in the league, for J.C. Horn. And there's nothing wrong with J.C. Horn, but that tells me that they are really 100% sold, bought, committed, dedicated to Sam Darnold. And I tell you what, they better be, because they don't have nothing else behind them.
No, they really don't. And the thing for me, too, is that you mentioned, if they didn't trade for Sam Darnold, they would have had Teddy Bridgewater back at the quarterback position. So they bring in, Sam Darnold, who's had who's had a roller coaster career, we'll say, getting drafted with the New York Jets and now coming over to Carolina. But he's a free agent in the 2023 season, so he's got a little bit of time left to show if he's worth a big extension. If he's worth that big, after his rookie contract, is he worth all this money? Right. So you have a little bit of time to tinker with him and see if this guy, if it was the system that failed him or if it was just his individual play. Right. Because, coming out of USC, he looked like a superstar in the making. And obviously that's why the Jets drafted him so high. And then we all know what the Jets have been doing. They've been floundering away for years now. They're hoping to get back to their winning ways with Zach Wilson and company now, so we'll see. But I think that Darnold could come out and shock a lot of people this year because he has a huge chip on his shoulder to prove to the media, prove to the fans, prove to his former coaches, and any naysayers. Now, look, it was the Jets that failed me. It wasn't me that failed the Jets.
Yeah.
So I could see Darnold throwing for a bunch of yards this season. Mm-hmm. And if not, if he does flounder, if he does have a bad season, then you could raise that question of, okay, is this guy just not going to work out as a starting quarterback in this league? So the Panthers have a little bit of a window to see if Darnold is worth that big next contract, or if they go on a different route. So we'll have to see.
Right.
But like we're talking with the NFL draft, Jay, they went obviously with defense, their first pick with J.C. Horn. I like that pickup. But then after that, I think they did a good job. They went and got Darnold another weapon. They got him probably his number 3 receiver with Terrace Marshall Jr. coming out of LSU. Absolutely amazing player. We just talked about LSU a little bit ago, and this was one of the guys that left the program to get drafted. Second round pick, very good height, 6'2", 200 pounds, and absolutely just all he does is catch balls, man. He's an absolute terror at the wide receiving position. And then they beefed up their offense too. They got a tackle with Brady Christensen. That's going to help him out at BYU. And then we were talking off the air about Tommy Tremble, who they drafted as their new tight end. So just in the first 3 rounds, they got guys who were going to help out that offense, pretty much on day 1, week 1. Then they also got a backup running back in case Christian McCaffrey unfortunately goes down or if he's not fully recovered, with Chuba Hubbard, who was an absolute star at Oklahoma State. So that we haven't even mentioned that yet about Christian McCaffrey. How is he going to do? How is he going to come back? Is he going to get another 1,000 yards running, 1,000-yard receiving type of year? Or do you think that the injuries might catch up to him?
I think a lot of things. First, I want to go back real quick. When we were talking about Darnold, he had 3 seasons completed at 59% pass completion. He's averaged about 6 yards a pass, 45 touchdowns. But what scares me with him is he commits a lot of turnovers, which is 39. So we'll come back to the minute. I just want to put that stat out there. We're going to come back to the minute to really kind of go back and talk about Christian McCaffrey. And the reason why I said it because it all ties in. Christian McCaffrey, they put so much on him. Like they put a lot on him, and that's why in the passing game, the running game, they use him so much that it breaks him down. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if his body can withstand another season like it just went through. So at some point, Darnold is going to have to give the ball to the receiving group that he has, and it's not a bad receiving group, like you said.
I don't know.
They brought in the rookie Marshall Jr. They got Moore and they got Anderson, and they brought in that rookie tight end and Tommy Tremble, and he'll have a whole training camp to get used to him, and Marshall as well. So I mean, he needs to. What I'm getting at is Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold needs to. I don't know why I'm saying Darnold's son like he's like a Karate Kid or something. He needs to be able to. He needs to be able to utilize his receivers, his tight ends, more than or at least 50% or more than he uses Christian McCaffrey. Not that he doesn't use Christian McCaffrey, but he needs to start learning to distribute that ball, and he really has to watch his turnovers to have a productive season for the Carolina Panthers on this offense given some of the competition that he'll be facing throughout the season.
Yeah, I think the offense is going to be their bright spot this year. They got a lot of guys in the draft. They brought over some guys in free agency. I think the offense is going to take a good step this year. I don't think they're going to lead the league in passing or nothing like that, nothing crazy. But if McCaffrey comes back healthy, and if the receivers you brought in, whether from the draft or free agency or guys you've already had there, if they can step up and if your new tight end can be a nice surprise, this could be a good offense in the NFC. I really think that. But for me, Jay, is how is this defense going to look? Because they have one of the youngest defenses in the league, which isn't a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. But there's always that big question mark of they're young, they're inexperienced, and they're unproven. So do you have any key players or just any thoughts on the defense for the Carolina Panthers?
Well, I'll tell you, the one bright spot that I really look at this young defense that we know about is the defensive end, Burns. As a rookie, he got 7.5 sacks, he got 8 hits, and he was 10% pressure rate. So he's a good pass rusher. He's not necessarily a good run stopper, but he's a good pass rusher. And I think he can develop into a top rusher in the league, given time. And especially, I think over the training camp, he should be able to get some more experience. So I think Burns is on the defensive side. Burns is probably the one to look at. Obviously, you're going to look. There's the obvious guys. You got Jason Horn because he's the new guy. He's the flashy guy.
Mm-hmm.
You just drafted. You can look at him. You can look at Chin. You can look at him as well at the safety spot. But what I really want to see is how well they can put pressure on that quarterback to get rid of the ball. And that's why I like Burns. That's why I really want to kind of watch Burns. I think he's going to be the guy. I think Burns, if Burns does his job well, he can take the pressure off of the cornerbacks in the secondary just by putting pressure on the quarterback. So that's why I think Burns is going to be the catalyst to this defense.
I'm with you, Jay, because you brought up a great point with Burns, is that this guy looks like he could be a future stud for the defensive line, for the Panthers, and just in the NFL. Because you just mentioned, he's top 10 in pressures, and I think it was top 20 in sacks. But let's not forget, Jay, he's only, I think, 22, 23 even? So he still has...
He's 23.
23. He has a lot of time to develop and get even better. Yeah. I get it, Carolina don't get the most media attention, but this guy, Brian Burns, might be someone to look out for. He might be getting on that all-defensive squad. He might be getting some awards coming to him pretty soon, as long as he keeps improving and getting better, faster, and stronger. We'll have to see how he does this year. I think that is – I'm with you, man. That's their key. That is their key to that D-line, is how much can he improve this season. And I think that, J.C. Horn, I think he's going to have a phenomenal year being his first year. I think he's ready to come out there and show that he was worth that high draft pick. And, like I said, they've got their holes and everything. They've got they got weaknesses. But I think this Carolina team could shock some people, honestly. And looking at their schedule, it's not the easiest schedule in the world, but it's also not the toughest. I mean, we just talked about the Saints, man, and their schedule was absolutely crazy. But the Panthers, the thing about them is that when I'm looking at their schedule, they face a few good teams, but it's the majority of the easy games, I would say, come in the first half of the season, like we were talking about before the show. They come in the first half of the season. Then the latter half, around week 10, is when you start facing some of the playoff contenders. I see Miami, the Washington football team, the Dolphins, the Bills, and then you face the Buccaneers twice in week 16, and then once again in the final week of the year in week 18. So they have a fairly winnable schedule earlier in the season, but then the latter half, it gets rough. So what do you think about how they're going to perform, how their record's going to look, and just their overall schedule?
So, yeah, I agree with you. Like I said, I think the toughest games are pretty much the same ones you just mentioned with Cowboys, Tampa, Bills, Cardinals, Falcons, and Saints both twice. So and obviously they have pretty much everybody in their own division is going to be hard for them guys to go up against. And obviously they play them quite often. So if I had to give you I think that, like I said, I think the Panthers are going to come out looking well in the initial first part of the season. They're going to look okay because their competition really isn't all that great either. But I think when we hit about week 14 13, 14, or actually they have a bye in week 13. So week 12 to 18 is going to look a little bit rougher for them. And I think they're going to finish, it will be the toughest stretch. 12 to 18 will be the toughest stretch of the schedule. And I think you're going to see what the Carolina Panthers really are in terms of what you thought they were. And I think their overall schedule or their overall record, in my opinion, would be probably 8-9.
Not bad.
But the key points I want to put into perspective is, number one, chemistry building season. This is going to be the season where they start to build their chemistry, because you have to understand this is the youngest team in the NFL. This is the youngest team in the NFL. So this season is not necessarily about can they get to the Super Bowl. This season is about can they develop chemistry to get to the Super Bowl in later years. I will tell you this. On paper, they don't have the greatest offensive line. And let's be honest, Darnold is turnover prone.
Yep.
So with that being said, defenses will be encouraged to put pressure on him to make mistakes. So that's where the key is for him. You obviously know he threw 39 interceptions on 45 touchdowns last year or over 3 seasons with the Jets. So if they don't have the greatest offensive line and if they know they put pressure on him, that he's going to be mistake prone, that's going to be where can Darnold eliminate the ability to throw interceptions by being under pressure. That's where the biggest thing is. Easily, like I said, the first part of the schedule, we're talking about the second part of the schedule being impossible almost, just given the amount of competition. Mm-hmm. But I will say this. The one good draft, and I'm going to tell you something now. Jason Horn was a great pick. Don't get me wrong. Jason Horn was a phenomenal pick. But I honestly think, if you think about it, what is the most differential pick that they made was when they chose running back Chuba Hubbard. Mm-hmm. Because when I had drafted Chuba Hubbard, it's going to take some of the pressure off of Christian McCaffrey, which could extend McCaffrey's healthiness and ability to stay towards the end of the season. So Chuba, you better come with it because Christian needs a break.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think I said for the Saints, I said that they would get around 7 to 9 wins. And I think I'm going to stick with the same with the Panthers. Jay, I think the Panthers could go 7 to 9 wins this season. Right. But like I said, they could shock some people. They could. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if they get to 10. It really wouldn't. Because sometimes you get those magical seasons, Jay, where all the young talent just flourishes at once and they come together and you see something amazing. This team has some good players.
Right.
And so I think for the Panthers, I could see anywhere from 7 to 10 wins. I don't think they're going to have enough to get into the playoffs yet. I think they could potentially start vying for a wild card the next season or two. But you also, you're in the NFC South. We already know who's going to win that one. It's looking like the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are the world champs. They're bringing back everybody. The Falcons have a lot of talent. The Saints have a good bit of talent. So, I mean, you have a whole division that is just, they're not horrible teams. By any means, you don't have one team that's like, oh, yeah, no, this team ain't going to win but 3 games. You have a pretty competitive division. And I think the Panthers going to hold their own, though. They're not going to be bad at all.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Honestly, it can't be about winning a Super Bowl this year, even though I know nobody's going to tell you that Super Bowl is not in their mind. If they did, they should be fired and they should never have a job in the NFL again. And that's just the truth. You have to go out there with the mindset that this team is going to the Super Bowl. But I'm saying realistically, this is not about winning a Super Bowl. This is about developing the chemistry to get you to a Super Bowl. Because let's be honest, like you said, there are teams out there that have been playing forever together. They have the chemistry already. They have all the pieces in place. Carolina is still trying to get all the pieces. So how can they have a Super Bowl team when we haven't got that part figured out? But they have all the pieces to get there. They just have to develop the chemistry and gain the experience and trust in each other. And eventually, I promise you that under Matt Rule, they will get there.
We will see. That is the big question. But I think that overall, the Carolina Panthers are going to have a better 2021 season. I think they're going to have maybe I could see, like I said, 7 to 10 wins is what I'm predicting. Just depends on how the seasons go. how Sam Darnold performs, how Christian McCaffrey is going to do coming off of an injury that he missed a lot of games with last year. And then how is your draft pick going to perform? Is J.C. Horn going to look like, a future number one CB? Is all the guys you drafted, is Tommy Tremble, all the guards you drafted, are they going to, they're going to shake out? What remains to be seen. But this Panthers team, they're young, they're hungry, and I can see them fighting for a good playoff spot in the next season or two, but it all depends on how they do in 2021. Well, if you guys have enjoyed this video here tonight, first off, thank you so much for tuning in, whether you're watching this on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Also, please go check out our podcast, whether you listen to them on Apple, on Spotify. We are over there. Just type in 100 Yards of Football. You'll see our logo right there on the 50-yard line. You can check out all of our amazing team previews we've done, whether it's in the college or NFL. All of the amazing legend interviews we've done as well. We've had former Hall of Famers. We've had NFL coaches, guys who just drafted. We have a lot of great stuff over there. And our episodes range from around 15 minutes to 45 to an hour. Just depends on how excited we get talking about the topics and who all we have on the show. So please go check us out. Leave us a review. You guys have been absolutely amazing this month. We're getting close to 1,000 downloads on our podcast this month. So thank you guys so much for enjoying our content. Well, hey, for my amazing co-host, Jay McLovin, thank you so much for coming on, my man, and talking some Carolina Panthers football with me here tonight. I've been your host, Logan Landers. You guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.